Sylvester and the Magic Pebble by William Steig. That's going to be covering the standard RL 2.7, which means that you guys are going to be able to use the illustrations and the story to tell me about the characters, the settings, and the plot. Okay? Everyone knows what a character is, right? Right, exactly. That's going to be the people that are in the story. The setting is where exactly they are in the story. You know what town they're in, if they're in a house or if they're outside. And then the plot means it's like a short little summary of the important events in the book, okay? So I want you guys to be thinking about that while I'm reading it, okay? Alright, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble by William Steig. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oatsdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round like a marble. As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, possibly from excitement and the rain he felt cold on his back. "I wish it would stop raining," he said. To his great surprise, it stopped. It didn't just stop gradually either, as rain usually does. It ceased. The raindrops vanished on the way down, the clouds disappeared, everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if rain had never even existed. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly, and it struck him that the magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic might be in the remarkable little looking pebble. Where indeed it was. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground and said, "I wish it would stop raining," or "I wish it would rain again." Nothing happened. But when he said the same thing holding the pebble in his hoof, the sky turned black, there was lightning and a clap of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. "What a lucky day this is," thought Sylvester. "From now on I can have anything I want. My mother, my father, my relatives, my friends, and anybody at all can have everything anybody wants." He wished the sunshine back in the sky. He wished a left wart on his foot would disappear, and it did, and he started home. Eager to amaze his mother and father with this magic pebble, he could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of some of the many things he would wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him. And he was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made the lion disappear, or could have wished himself safe at home. He could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly, or a daisy, or a tiny gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked and couldn't think carefully. So guess what he wished that he was? "I wish I were a rock," he said, and he became a rock. The lion came bounding over, sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around it, and went away. Confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. "I saw that little donkey as clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy." And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with the magic pebble lying right beside him. And he was unable to pick it up. "Oh, how I wish I were myself again," he thought, but nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried. Being helpless, he felt hopeless, he imagined all the possibilities, and eventually he realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and to wish that the rock next to it would be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny. But what on earth would make them wish that a rock were a donkey? The chance was 1 in a billion at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came with many stars. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? They stayed up all night wondering what had happened, expecting that Sylvester would surely turn up by morning, but he didn't, of course. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed to have their dear son with them. "I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live," said Mrs. Duncan, "no matter what he does." At dawn, they went about inquiring of all the neighbors. They talked to all the children, the puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. They even went to the police, and the police could not find their son. All the dogs in Oatsdale went searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and every tree and every blade of grass, into every nook and every gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found not a scent of him. They even sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester. After a month of searching the same places over and over again, and crying of the same animals over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened, and that they would probably never see their son again, though all the time he was less than a mile away. They tried their best to be happy to go about their usual ways, but their unusual ways included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. Night followed day, and day followed night over and over again, and Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was hopeless and unhappy. He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went to an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with the leaves changing colors. Then the leaves fell, and the grass bent to the ground. Then it was winter. The wind blew this way and that. It snowed. Most of the animals stayed indoors, living on the food that they had stored. One day a wolf sat on a rock that was Sylvester and howled because he was hungry. The snow melted. The earth warmed up in the spring sun, and things budded. Leaves were on the trees again. Flowers showed their young faces. One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic. Let's cheer up. Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us. And they went to Strawberry Hill. Mrs. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester, I'm right here." But he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was stone dumb. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Mrs. Duncan set out the picnic food on the rock. Alfalfa sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timothy compote. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble!" he exclaimed. Sylvester would have loved it for his collection, and he put the pebble on the rock. They sat down to eat. Sylvester was now as wide awake as a donkey that was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. "You know, Father," she said suddenly, "I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away." I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't if only he realized that the pebble resting on his back was the magic pebble, right there. Oh, how I wish he were here with this on this lovely May day," said Mrs. Duncan. Mr. Duncan looked sadly at the ground. "Don't you wish it too, Father?" she said. He looked at her as if to say, "How can you ask such a question?" Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other with great sorrow. "I wish I were myself again. I wish I were my real self again," thought Sylvester, and in less than an instant he was. You can imagine the scene that followed: the embraces, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, and the fond exclamations. When they had eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Someday they might want to use it, but really for now, what more could they ask for? They all had all they wanted. Alright guys, that's Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. We're going to do 3 activities today. I'm going to let you be the illustrator, and I'm also going to let you be the author for 2 separate pages in here that I'm going to share with you guys, okay? So everyone run back to their desk, and all these papers are on your desk waiting for you. So, to be the illustrator, which means I'm going to read you part of the story, and then you are going to illustrate what you think that looks like. So on page 2 it reads, "On a rainy Saturday during vacation he found a quite extraordinary one, talking about his red pebble. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round like a marble. As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, possibly from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. 'I wish it would stop raining,' he said." So, you guys are going to be the illustrator. And then whatever you guys are going to be the author, which means I'm going to show you the picture, and you're going to tell me what you think is happening. Alright, this picture right here where they're in the sunshine and they're smiling and crying, I want you guys to tell me what you think is happening in that picture, okay? For activity number 2, we are going to learn about the plot. What is the plot? By using the notebook paper you were given, you're going to write down the major pages that helped you determine the plot of the story. Also, I want you to put a check beside either the illustration or the story telling which one helped you most determine the plot, okay? And just a reminder, the plot is a short summary of the main events in a story, okay? And our last activity is going to be, you're going to find a partner first, okay? Possibly the one that's sitting right next to you. Discuss with your partner what illustrations were important to you when you were deciding on a setting. Which means what helped you decide, if they were outside, if they were inside, and all this other kind of stuff. And then what page was important that actually told you where they were, okay? And then together, which means you're going to work as a team, I want you to create an image or drawing of what the two of you think that Sylvester's room might look like, okay? I want you to be super creative and use your imagination with that one, all right? I'm going to show you some examples. This is my illustration, okay? And then this is what I wrote. When Sylvester's parents realized what just happened, they were so happy they began hugging him and crying, and they were jumping on and shouting for joy on this beautiful sunny day, okay? And then I drew it raining right over here. Okay? And then next we have where we're going to write our page numbers down and our illustration. You're going to check your illustration or story. For 3 of mine I checked story, and for 2 of mine I checked illustration. And then this right here is my picture of Sylvester's room. Okay, I want you to be super creative. I did him a boy-colored bedroom, some little red and blue curtains, his clothes all over the floor because he's a little boy. Little boys are messy, right? All right, guys. So if we have any questions at all during those activities, let me know. And then after that, we're going to have a test. Not just, like a mean, scary test, but just something that you learned. Because see how much fun it is to have this big brain with all this knowledge inside of it? Alright, so what we're going to do is you're going to tell me the 3 main characters on your piece of paper. Don't say it yet. And then illustrate and tell me the setting, which means draw me just a little picture of the town that Sylvester lives in. Maybe, the little river or lake that he was by when he was a rock. And then in 5 sentences, which is a whole paragraph, I think you guys can handle it, I want you to explain the plot. Okay? Alright. So, now that you guys are done with that, can anyone tell me the 3 main characters? Right. Sylvester, his father, and his mother. Okay, and I know your illustrations were beautiful. Can anyone tell me the setting, or tell me what page the setting was on? Alright, let's go back and check and see if you guys are right. On page 1, it tells us that they live on Acorn Road in Oatsdale. Very good, guys. Okay, and then someone want to tell me what they wrote for the plot? Exactly. Sylvester just got, caught up in a wish gone wrong, and then he realized how thankful he was for everything that he had, right? Alright, guys, y'all did an awesome job, okay? Thank you.